hey, look, I got a notification. I think, no, I got a notification from my girlfriend. I figured that the notification for the video would go through, but you just never know sometimes. Eh, And there it is. Cool. Hey, I got the notification that it's on. That makes me very happy. And the audio should be working this time. But you would, like, if you didn't watch the other video that we did that I had to stop, you wouldn't know because, anyway, the audio wasn't working properly, and I figured out what it was, and I fixed it. Go me. Well, that is if this one's working. I don't know if it is. I don't actually have any idea if the audio is working. So I'm just hoping it is. This is what happens when you produce your own content. When you start your content and you create everything for it and you create all the graphics and it takes hours and hours to do that, and then you produce your own show while it's live. Usually I have graphics for this, by the way, and you do all of this research and everything, right? And you create things and you create your own channel and you create all of your own stuff. And you buy equipment and stuff like that, and it takes hours and hours and hours. And you know, if you're honest anyway, if you're Ben Shapiro, it doesn't really fucking matter. You can go in and just use a bunch of fucking white nationalist buzzwords, and people are gonna like come in and by the droves, and millions of people are going to watch that, and you don't actually need to produce anything or actually think about anything because you're Ben Shapiro and you're a conservative dickbag. But it takes hours and hours and hours usually this one's a little different, but it takes hours to create, to look into, decide what you're going to do, um and what the subject matter is going to be. If you're doing like one of our live shows like the regular Divine Disbelief, that will, that takes the time to go in and actually research the the topics and stuff. And that takes a lot of time as well because then you have to go in and decide them and then decide which topics, and you have to get the graphics for them and stuff like that, and then you have to pick out little things from there and from the article and stuff. And if you're like me, you show little screenshots so people have an idea of what they're looking at, although you can just listen to it. You can just listen to it like a podcast style. And and then create the script for it and make sure that when you do that all the graphics come up when you're actually talking about it and comes up to that part of the script. And it takes sometimes hours and hours and hours. Or if you pre-record a video, that one takes even longer. And then you turn it on and the microphone doesn't work, or you're missing a slide or something else that's stupid. Who knows? But I can't see the screen, so I guess we'll just see. But earlier today's the 13th of January? Yeah, I almost said August of 2022. That is what today is. And my stuff's not even up on the channel, so I can't actually watch anything, and I can't see any of the chat or anything. So, see, this is what happens when you make your own stuff. Right here. Huh. But I was at work and I got a notification on my watch, and it was from CNN. And usually when CNN sends some sort of notification, it's like at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I have to wonder, at that point, it's like, okay, who did we illegally bomb overseas, or which landlord this time was unable or unwilling is the actual word to use, to take care of their tenants, and because of their the misuse of funds and misuse of time and lack of care for people, how many people died this time because of them, but this time it was a little bit different. And so I was at work, and I picked up my phone and I opened it up and I saw the notification from the very top. And I think that I had also seen something, quick blurb or something on Twitter when I was opening my phone. But apparently, and this is surprising, considering the lack of this so far. Not just, I mean, not the Department of Justice necessarily, but Democrats. You spineless, feckless cuss words. So it's very surprising to me because of all of their inability to get anything done at all. Period. Kirsten Sinema's over there like, yeah, you know what? You tell me that voting rights are important and everything, and I'm feeling you. As the gender that has had voting rights for like 101 years, I guess I understand. I'm just not into, like, I don't know, like, changing things. So Democrats also primary her. She's a Republican. Primary her, please. But it told me that there were insurrectionists, the insurrectionist members of the far white Cult 45 that were being charged, I think 11 of them, with seditious conspiracy. That's good. It's I believe they recorded themselves attempting to overthrow the government January 6th of last year, and it took them until January 13th of this year to, I guess, watch the video and see them do an insurrection. I don't know. But they charged these folks with seditious conspiracy. That's good, as I've said. And I'm going to give a cautionary tale at the end. But right now, I looked and I went just before we went live, and I went to each of the major news sources. All right, here you go. I'm going to give you like their front page stuffs. And if you are, if a person who sees when these kinds of things happen, and then there's always like one organization that just doesn't have it on their front page for some crazy reason. I don't know. It's like almost like they're the like the Russian TV type stuff. But that's what this is. But let's see. CNN, which obviously is the heart of fake news, says, well, first off, how long you can wear your N95 according to experts. Guys, we figured this out 2 years ago. Stop recycling your stuff. Anyways, but it says here it is, takeaways from the landmark sedition indictment against the Oath Keepers. Right there, front page. Antifa sure had a lot of Trump 2020 flags that day. My God. Okay. MSNBC. Let's see here. Democrats just got one step closer to saving voting rights. Yeah, right. And then over on the side of that, Oath Keeper's leader arrested, charged with seditious conspiracy related to January 6th. NPR. One thing about the United States being fully prepared if Russia invades Ukraine. All right, that's cool. And then scroll down just a little bit into the law section, and it says Oath Keepers leader arrested, charged with conspiracy for January 6th insurrection. It's seditious conspiracy, National Public Radio, okay? ABC News. Apparently a top prosecutor lied about COVID hardships. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's called like every Republican governor in the fucking country. Right there, underneath it says Twitter and Meta among tech giants subpoenaed by the January 6th panel. And then just below that on the main part of their screen, it says Oath Keepers leader arrested on charge of seditious conspiracy involving January 6th. The Associated Press. First off, apparently the Supreme Court halts COVID-19 vaccine rule for U.S. businesses, without actually saying, of course, that it goes into place. It's still perfectly fine to do that for healthcare workers, and if you ever want to go to school. Anyways, right next to that front page, seditious conspiracy, 11 Oath Keepers charged in January 6th riot. And then BBC, the BBC. It's got Novak Djokovic on there, but also just above that on the front page, militia head charged with sedition for Capitol riot. This is the first time Capitol riot defendants have been accused of seeking to, quote, it's in quotes, overthrow the government. No, they didn't. That's what they tried to do. So even the across the pond, if you will, our weirdly speaking, I don't know, previous people over there. Thanks for the continent that we stole. They have it on their front page, like front page, if you will, like if you had like a newspaper. They were like, Prince Andrew apparently is losing military titles. Oh my gosh, I care so much. But then also, right there next to it, the militia head is charged with sedition. And then I visited a certain website of a certain, a certain mammal, if you will, related to, it's kind of like orange and black, and it's being like kind of domesticated. It kind of barks. The British tried to literally make it like, oh man, I'm trying to think the name. It's like it doesn't bark, it yips. I don't know. I forget the name. Anyways, here's what's on their page. I'm just going to go down and go through their page. First off, The Trial of Kyle is a Tucker Carlson original. Well, good job, Tucker Carlson, with that one. But the hot topics are RNC debate requirement. That's funny. If you can't win, just, I guess, take your ball and go home. Filibuster, COVID-19 tests. Those are the three things up there. Bunny rabbits and ice cream is the main story. Apparently, the House or the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, quote, goes off script after being asked if the White House thinks things are going pretty poorly. So there you go. White House or Washington Post slaps 4 Pinocchios on bizarre Biden claim. Lib media has meltdown as one of their own refuses to bow to Biden. Alleged cold-blooded killer's warpath moments before deadly rampage. How students are using COVID to skip school with the media's blessing. That one's hilarious. Cruel irony, lawmakers handed masks made in China, funded by your taxpayer dollars. Over $1 billion in student loans were just canceled. Biden ignores questions on failing COVID-19 policies. Yeah, maybe you should like, I don't know, wear a mask and get vaccinated. Who knows? Biden White House reeling after week of defeats, setbacks, and policy flops. Biden administration dealt biggest blow yet to federal vaccine mandate. Opinion, SCOTUS puts an end to the pandemic of the pandemic of the autocrat. Apparently, Michigan Governor Whitmer significantly undercounted nursing home COVID deaths. Apparently, a soap opera star was fired for, I don't know, wanting to infect people with COVID. Basically, 0% of this at all. Not even a single mention of how these people who they assisted in fomenting the insurrection on January 6, 2021, which they did, by the way. Which they did, especially led by the TUC KKK Carlson. Right? They have not mentioned on their website. Period. About the charges of seditious conspiracy. Not even one thing. Hold on 1 second. Let me just go in here and and click on this and click on that. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to go to this right here. There we go. Click on that. I'm going to pause that. There we go. I'm reading your comments now. So, I don't know if you know this, but Republicans don't care about voting rights. They don't care about anything. They don't have loyalty. They don't have spines. They walk in lockstep with one another. Mind you, they usually look like geese when they do this. We should really make a word about how they walk together looking like geese, stepping. I don't know. It should make some sort of word. But they're very good at that, but they're very bad at caring about anything other than, I don't know, rich white people and convincing poor white people that it's not only good to be poor, but it's good to be poor and not have education or health care, because then the others might get it, right? Yeah, they're very good at all of that, but they're very bad at saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't, I don't know, do an insurrection. I don't know. Yeah, you know. But then I was also reading something earlier today, and this is in my opinion a hey Russ and Brainbug, good to see all of you, by the way. And I read this about, this was written January 31st of last year, so just after the insurrection. And it's on Twitter. I will put a link to it in the description or something somewhere. I'll do that. And it's a tweet thread. And I found it. I read it earlier today. I think I had actually read it before today, but I read it again as soon as I saw the notification came up. And I think that you will find it as interesting as I did, or still do. So I'm just going to read it in its totality. I'm not going to edit it for clarity or anything. It's a fucking Twitter thread. Here's what it says. It says that treason has a specific definition, both constitutionally and legally. One could argue, and we would say rightfully so, that the actions taken by those on January 6th meet the, quote, levying war against the United States definition in Article 3, Section 3, Clause 1.2. It doesn't necessarily mean a formal declaration of war and can simply be defined as a group using actual force in an attempt to prevent a law or laws being enforced. It must also be persons, and 2 or more witnesses are required. The events of the Capitol easily meet those. The events at the Capitol. So it would seem like a slam dunk. So it's treason then. Well, maybe not. Defense lawyers will likely reference United States versus Hanway in 1851, in which Justice Grier, who would later state those who seceded were traitors, ruled against treason. The case, also referred to as the Christiana treason trials, involved Castner Hanway, a Pennsylvanian who blocked the enforcement of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 by both refusing to state the location of runaway enslaved people and inciting a riot which led to millions, which led to the possibility of millions of deaths. Now, an interesting aside, the 4 runaway enslaved peoples were owned by Edward Gorsuch, ancestor of current SCOTUS Justice Neil Gorsuch. Now, Marshal Henry Klein attempted to assist in the capture. There's a marshal and his name is Henry. And the violence which ensued led to the death of Gorsuch and his son Dickinson while the enslaved peoples escaped. Another aside, Edward's other son, Thomas, who survived, was friends with another man who swore to avenge Gorsuch's death, John Wilkes Booth. Now, Justice Grier stated, when a murder is committed, all who are present, aiding, abetting, and assailing are equally guilty with him who gave the fatal stroke. If many be present, and one only gives the stroke whereby the party dies, they are all principals. Hanway was present but did not fire a shot. Even so, he was aware and came to the aid of those blocking enforcement. Justice Breyer then advised the jury to consider the following, quote, "For although the prisoner may have been found guilty or may have been guilty of riot, robbery, murder, or any other felony, he cannot be found guilty under this bill of indictment unless you find that he intended to levy war against the United States." He conversely stated if the jury found Hanway aided and abetted, quote, "You will next have to inquire whether the offense as proved amounts to the crime of, quote, treason against the United States." And that is the sticking point. Breyer stated even if Hanway was guilty of riot, robbery, and murder, he cannot be found guilty unless, quote, he intended to levy war or they acted, quote, in pursuance of some conspiracy or preconcerted thought. He also stated, and this is important, quote, "The term levying war should be confined to insurrections and rebellions for the purpose of overturning the government by force and arms." He referenced Freese's case, stating, quote, "An insurrection or rising of any body of people within the United States to attain by force or violence any object of a great public nature or of a public or national and great concern is a levying of war against the United States." This is a precedent. In U.S. versus Hoxie, he said this, quote, "It was declared that if the intention be to prevent by force of arms the execution of any act of Congress altogether, any forcible opposition calculated to carry that intention into effect is levying war against the United States." Hanway was acquitted because the jury found his actions were of a private matter, not in the public interest. And that brings us to the cases which could be brought against the actions of those who broke into the Capitol on January 6th. The defense may use Hanway as precedent, saying they did not attempt to overthrow the government, but rather to express their grievances. However, it cannot be denied the purpose was public in nature and intended to prevent Congress from executing a law. While it seems clear-cut and quite different from Hanway or Burr, 1807, as well as the proper charge of treason, prosecutors likely won't pursue, at least for the vast majority, the charges of treason. Instead, they're likely to charge the defendants with seditious conspiracy. 18 U.S. Codes 2384 defines seditious conspiracy as actions that, quote, "prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States or by force seize, take, or possess any property of the United States. Two or more witnesses must act or be present." Do these actions meet that definition? Yes. They were organized, armed, had temporary handcuffs, and recorded themselves saying they wanted to kill members of Congress and even the vice president. It's sedition, open and shut. Yes, they committed treason, but that's unlikely to be pursued because they are unlikely to obtain a conviction. And finally, no. Former President Trump did not commit sedition, insurrection, or treason. At least not on January 6th. So, this Twitter thread, which Susan says, wait, is this still the thread? This is detailed. Holy moly. This Twitter thread again, was written on January 31st of 2021 at about, I don't know, what time is this? What time is this? 12:30, 12:50 in the afternoon. And that's it's very correct. And you folks should go and find that Twitter thread, which I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to link in the description, but you can find it pinned to my Twitter profile, so you can find it there. And I don't often do this, but I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back for this one because I fucking wrote that. That was me. I wrote that. Good job, me. I realized that I'm able to like make predictions about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its extended version, and usually am fairly right about those, but that's inconsequential. I fucking predicted this would happen, and that means that if the prosecution had any appreciation of me and my time, they should listen. I'm unappreciated in my time. I'm just gonna again, I don't often, like brag like that. I don't, because I think that it's unbecoming. And I was talking to Susan and a little bit ago, and what did I say? Hey babes, the Kraken are playing the Blues today. Don't know why that's my phone, but it's like, we have like a fairly maximum, around like, I don't know, 40 to 50 people watch our videos. And so it's like, okay, cool. 40 or 50 people are going to see me for the first time, like ever, give myself a lot of credit for this because I wrote that. And I'm just going to hold on to that one for a while. Now, there is a cautionary tale here. 11 individuals being charged with seditious conspiracy. Will they be convicted? Depends on how strong. I mean, I feel as I did this research last year that the prosecution has a pretty solid case, but they also had a pretty solid case in like Rittenhouse and everything else too. I don't know. And so they I believe that they came to these indictments from some of the, I don't know, people that, I don't know, flipped over, turned over on them, rolled over, right? Who were able to get those lesser, leaner sentences. And that's probably the case. I would imagine that. And so I do imagine that some of these are going to stick. Will all 11 of them? I don't know. But the other part of the cautionary tale is, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, talking to Mike earlier about this, and we're both upset about it. Not about this, but we're upset because we know the reality of this. The defeated former president is not guilty of insurrection, sedition, treason, and he's just not. He is guilty of many other things, obstruction of justice being one of those, violating the Constitution on multiple occasions, yes. Will he ever be held accountable for any of this? I'm going to answer your question by referencing something. We have him recorded in a phone conversation with the state of Georgia election officials, like the actual state, over an hour long. And again, let's remember this. This was last year. I think on the 4th of January, in a phone conversation with leaders, many of them Republicans in the state of Georgia, in which he not only was vaguely but outright pressured and attempted to strong arm and attempted to say, oh, this is going to get very bad for you, but tried to play mob boss, and even said, just say that you found these votes, that you made an error. We have him on, we have his recorded voice saying these things, and they won't even charge him for that. Why do you think they're going to charge him with anything else? Hell, the chances are he's going to be reelected president. If the guy survives to 2024, there's a big chance he's going to be reelected president. So, no, nothing's going to happen to him. Nothing ever likely will happen to him when it comes to courts and laws and things like that. Dogs are walking around, sorry. And so don't expect that. That's the cautionary tale with this. Be excited that there's actually something happening, even if it took over a year. We have them on video, right? Of course, never mind. We had the whole video with George Floyd as well. Well, but that didn't take a year. It was May to April. Anyways, Susan says people should listen to you more often because you are right a majority of the time. A good majority even. Oh, thank you for that. Inciting a riot? No, I don't think so. I don't think... Now, did he foment an insurrection? Yes, I would say that to be the case. But that's an opinion, and I don't think that it actually... I do think that he is the only reason that they did that. That without him, they wouldn't have done that. But their actions were their own, even if they felt as though the president had sent them there. There is not a law that exists that could actually pin this on him and get a conviction. So, come on, they don't even have Rudy Giuliani. They won't even do anything with Matt Gaetz. So, there you go. Fox News doesn't talk about it. But they have charged 11 members of the Oath Keepers with seditious conspiracy. Somebody should, I don't know, make a Twitter thread about it or something.